to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Oscar BEVIS, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Bible It's fight week. Eddie Hearn joins me. Eddie, thanks for giving me some of your time. How are we?
Handsome. No, feeling great, mate. Obviously a big show on Saturday. Katie Taylor's in town. Great card. Just announced the signing there of Pat McCormack and Mark Dickinson. Two talents, I believe. Very, very best of the young British fighters coming through. Abu Dhabi next week in probably the card of the year. On to Cleveland the week after. We're buzzing and looking forward to a big show on Saturday.
Yeah, let's talk about Pat and Mark. So highly regarded, and with Pat, you said that you tried and it didn't work first time. Kind of not the way you expected to be announcing Pat, but now they've had a couple of pro fights and now they're ready with you to kick on. Yeah,
both very different in terms of not the ability they come with, but the reputation they come with. I mean, Mark Dickinson, we knew about. He was very highly regarded on the GB team. Didn't have the amateur accomplishments of Pat McCormack. Not many do. But since he turned professional, Ben Davison's been banging on about him, and I believe in Ben Davison. I trust his eye. And he told me, I'm telling you now, this kid is an absolute beast. He's got everything. And I've been watching him iron people out in the pros, and we wanted to be a part of him. Pat McCormack, unless you've been asleep for the last 10 years in the amateur system, everybody knows how good Pat McCormack is. Listen, he's a lively character, right? But you keep this young man focused, he can go on and achieve everything in the sport. He just said to me there, I'm all in, mate. I'm fully invested now. I said, fucking right. I said, you've got the opportunity of a lifetime. You're with the biggest global promotional company in the world. You're going to get the opportunity to fight as often as possible. It's all in front of you. The only one that can fuck this up is you. He has got talent and skills to burn. And this guy is going to fill arenas in the Northeast. He's a tremendous talent. So very lucky to be working with those two guys, and Ben, obviously, who's a fantastic trainer. I'm really excited about the future.
Have you got any news or anything you could give us when we could see their matchroom debuts?
They'll be announced next week. So we're just finalising their dates at the moment. Obviously, just got their signing done, and they'll be very, very active, of course, out this year. And looking forward to seeing him in action.
Onto the Conor Benn stuff. Obviously, yesterday evening we saw that Conor had relinquished his British Boxing Border Control licence. Before we talk about kind of the other stuff and other questions, just kind of your initial statement to that.
It's not for me to give a statement. I mean, I'm not Conor Benn's press officer, but there's big interviews dropping with him tomorrow, and he's going to be doing a lot of media this week. So I'll leave a lot of it to him. What I will say is, and what I will clarify, is the charges that were brought against him actually had nothing to do with a doping charge. And we feel, and he particularly felt, and his team, that he's been treated very unfairly during this process, and because of that charge, decided to relinquish his licence, not because of a charge relating to a doping charge or a ban. It was something different, and he felt that it was incredibly unfair, so made the decision, by the way, not to relinquish his licence. His licence had actually expired, and he chose not to renew his licence. So there's a lot of stuff that he'll be clarifying in due course. He's about to go through a major legal process on this. I don't mind telling you that side of the story, and he'll be giving you the other info shortly.
In terms of the word misconduct, that was kind of what we saw in the British Boxing Border Control statement. Have they clarified to you what their definition of misconduct is in this case?
No, I've not been involved with a process with the British Boxing Border Control. That's Conor Benn's individual fight. What I can tell you is the misconduct charge is not in relation to a doping ban. And he feels that it was, ridiculous and a sign that he is not about to get fair process. So this is the legal process he's going through to clear his name, and he'll be fighting that aggressively. And you'll be here, as I said, there's big interviews dropping with him tomorrow, and he's going to be talking a lot over the next few days and weeks as he attempts to clear his name.
So in terms of Conor, if he had to reapply, obviously I don't know the specifics of fighters for licences, but if Conor was to reapply for a licence, the board would still be open to that. This isn't them putting a statement out to say you can't ties with.
It's not you can never have a licence, but he made that decision based on the charges, which again are not in relation to him receiving a doping ban. It was something different, which he felt was particularly unreasonable. and decided not to renew his licence. He will now clear his name via another means, and when he does, we'll have the ability to go back and apply for his licence with the British Boxing Board of Control at any time, as he has the ability to apply for a licence at any time with any jurisdiction around the world. Conor Benn can fight now in many, many places around the world. But in my opinion, and I think he wants to make sure he goes through that process as well, he must go through this process, this legal process, to clear his name.
Obviously, there will be a lot of legal things to tie up, and I know obviously you guys won't want to get too ahead of yourselves. Have you even thought about the potential of when Conor can kind of try to get back to normal and even think about fighting again?
Right now is he has to go through the process of hearing to clear his name. And until that process takes part, he won't be fighting. He could fight now. But I don't think with the the furore from the media and fans, they won't accept that until he goes through that process. So the first things first is to hear from Conor Benn, which you guys will be doing tomorrow and onwards, and then a process legally to clear his name and make sure he can get back in the ring. It's going to be a tough fight for him not to receive some kind of ban, because as much as we believe he's innocent, there was still a small, minute level within his system, and that's got to be explained, and the reasons have got to be given. There is a chance he will receive a ban. Is that ban 3 months, 6 months, a year? We don't know. But obviously the key is to go through that process as soon as possible and see him back in the ring at the right time.
This isn't the first time, and it likely won't be the last time we see a case like this. But because of the high-profile nature, do you kind of get a gut instinct that Conor could be made an example of in comparison to other cases?
Honestly, I don't want to say too much about the misconduct charges from the board, but that's exactly how he feels. And he feels that because of those misconduct charges, it's a sign that he had no chance of getting due process and the right process from them. But again, that's his fight. I haven't been involved in the British Boxing Board of Control hearing or any of that process. He will give you that information. But yes, you only have to look at the responses. People presume him guilty. And at the moment, he hasn't even had a hearing, and you haven't even heard from him yet. So you will be. You can make your own decisions, and he'll be out there to try and clear his name.
Just one more thing on his statement. Obviously, he posted it on his sort of socials. It was written in third person. Was that from Matchroom or his own media team?
We have we are not Conor Benn's press officer. We are not Conor Benn's manager. We promote his fights. We support him, but this is his individual fight. Of course, we'll be there to support him. We don't have any involvement in his press statements, in his hearings, in his process with lawyers. But we're here. We're his friends. We believe him. Many don't, but you'll make your own decisions in due course. And like I said, you'll be hearing from him shortly.
Ed, obviously, you went on TalkSport yesterday. Was there a reason this wasn't brought up, or was it just kind of a time that it was kind of asked to bring out later?
I mean, the board announced it yesterday. Conor Benn, again, I wasn't in that hearing. I wasn't aware of the date of that hearing. I knew that there was a hearing taking place. But as I said, I don't even think there was a hearing, really. They brought these charges against him, which were, in his opinion, ridiculous. And he chose not to renew his licence. So yeah, I mean, that's the process he's gone down.
Obviously, you went on the breakfast show with Ali and Laura. In kind of the case of impartiality, look, I know we had the media day yesterday, and I'm not too aware of TalkSport's exact schedule, but in kind of the case of impartiality, do you think it was kind of a good idea to go on a show with Laura Woods, who obviously is of the zone?
Did you listen to it? You listened to the show? Yeah. I thought her questions were extremely probing. I mean, they probably weren't as probing as Simon Jordan, but, I'm not just here to give Simon Jordan views. I mean, I think he does an incredible job, Simon Jordan. He's fantastic. I mean, it's a sad fall from grace, but, I think he's, on the whole, a very good disc jockey. And I have no problem going on a show. Laura Woods reached out to us personally for me to go on a show. Simon Jordan's never reached out for me personally. I've just come back from Australia, Mexico. I'm about to go to Abu Dhabi, Cleveland, and somewhere else. I had one morning to go on the show, and I went on. I mean, it wasn't, let's do it with Laura. I've spent 3 hours talking to you lot yesterday. I'll spend another 3 hours talking to you lot today. It's no problem for me. But, I think that Simon Jordan, it's not just about, let's go on and give Simon Jordan some views. He was particularly harsh, I think. And in my situation, Simon Jordan would have done exactly the same thing. You follow protocol, you follow the governing body, and you wait for them to make a decision. So, listen, again, I think Simon Jordan's outstanding at what he does, and I'm sure at some point I'll be on a show in my time, not his time.
I was going to say, would you be kind of open to an invitation from Simon if or when he's to see this?
Yeah, but what is he, the king? You know, I mean, what I want to go on there and blow up the views for Talk Sport by getting quizzed by a bloke that is the king of hypocrisy. Not particularly, but I had no problem with it. I mean, I've known Simon Jordan. Listen, I first bumped into Simon Jordan in Sinatra's out in Port Banús about 20 years ago. He had blonde highlights in his hair and a couple of earrings, swanning around because he was making so much money. You know, the next time I saw him was at Leighton Orient Football Club where he was swanning around in a ballroom. And now I'm looking at me on TalkSport. I'm thinking, this guy's quizzing me. It's a mad world we live in. But listen, as I said, I saw him with Souness the other day. He's very, you know, he's good and he's sharp. And I have no problem answering his questions. I didn't like his comments. I thought they were unreasonable. But he lives in the controversy world.
See, I'm not here to kind of stand there and compare platforms, but because of kind of, you mentioned the views, because of the numbers that Simon Jordan is driving, is it not the perfect platform to go on and try and I'll say express how you feel in this situation?
Good Morning Britain and do 10 times the numbers. I mean, it's like, what did my interview do with Coogan yesterday? 200, 300, 400,000. I mean, I'm doing 40 of these interviews a day. You know, some people you want to give your time to, some people you don't want to give your time to. After what he said, I don't really want to give my time to him. Don't mean I won't in the future, but right now when I'm flying here, there, everywhere, I had one chance to go in and do TalkSport, and I did it because Laura Woods requested an interview.
Just one more thing on this whole kind of Conor Benn saga. I know you said that it's kind of guilty until proven innocent in this case. Can you kind of?
I said that's
how the public view it. Sorry.
Yes.
Can you kind of see why the public would view it? And okay, you've told me it isn't about the doping charge, but after seeing the statement from the board as well, can you see why the public might go, this doesn't look good on just kind of a first glance?
Yeah, maybe, but obviously you got to hear from Conor Benn, and you know that I've just told you that the misconduct charge was not in relation to a doping ban, and in that respect, he felt it was unbelievably unreasonable. So you have to see what he says.
Katie Taylor, have you kind of, well, I asked her this actually, if she's kind of getting caught up in the fan debate at the moment of her and Clarissa, obviously two very contrasting characters. One kind of shouts it from the rooftops and Katie doesn't. Have you kind of just looked much into this at all?
What, their personal...
Like people's debates and stuff?
Not really. I mean, look, they're both tremendous. I thought Clarissa Shields was unbelievable the other week. I mean, I've always felt that Savannah Marshall would win that fight by stoppage. And then just over the last sort of 6 months, I started speaking to people, a lot of people in boxing, who convinced me there's no way Clarissa Shields would lose that fight. And I thought she was sensational. I thought it was a great fight. They're two very different characters. Of course, there's a lot of space for them both in the sport. And, you know, both tremendous assets and ambassadors for the game.
And in terms of Katie, I know kind of the cherry on top of what's been already a fantastic career, stuff still to do, but Croke Park, is that kind of the aim from here?
I feel like it's a must. You know, I think that the fight with Serrano, hopefully we can get that over the line and we can move forward for an iconic event, you know, one of the biggest events that Ireland will ever see in the sporting world, and well deserved for Katie Taylor.
Just one more thing, I see Bam vacated his WBC super flyweight, so as UK fans we immediately go Sonny Edwards.
Yeah, we're looking to fight for the WBO world title next, and then love a fight with Sonny Edwards. Bam, as he showed, will fight anybody. That's a tremendous matchup.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife for saying completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.